I was on my YouTube subscriptions page, like a normal person, when I saw that one of my favorite YouTubers made a video on a new game that was about to be released called Fall Guys. At the time, I just dismissed it as one of the many new games that he features on his channel, but he really seemed to like the game. A couple of days later, another one of my favorite YouTubers, Backback, made a video on the same game, but again, I dismissed it because Fade and Backback usually make videos on the same topic. But after Lachlan made his video on Fall Guys, something just clicked. And suddenly, everyone on YouTube, and especially my subscription feed, was playing Fall Guys. This game dominated the YouTube scene, and this video is here to try and understand why. What is Fall Guys anyway? Well, for those of you who don't know, Fall Guys was released to PC on August 4th, 2020, and is best described as a mix between Mario Party and the Battle Royale genre. This game's design looks a little bit like Gang Beast and Human Fall Flat mixed together, sprinkled with a little bit of Shy Guy from Mario. And each of the levels are like a Mario Party minigame. But the Battle Royale comes in because there's a Battle Pass, as every game seems to have these days. And if you don't complete the level before the other players, you get eliminated. As I've already said, you start off the game with a max of 60 people, all competing in different levels to be the last person standing. But what are the different minigames? Well, there are 25 different minigames, out of which you can play 4 to 6 depending on how many people are initially in your game or get eliminated in between each minigame. There are 4 different types of minigames: race, survival, team, and finals. The first genre of minigame that you're introduced to when you first load up the game is race. In this type of minigame, you have to be the first to the finish line, or at least within the cutoff limit. There are 3 race minigames that you can play at the beginning of the game. Dizzy Heights, which is pretty straightforward, all you have to do is follow the spinning circles. Seesaw, which is another simple one, unless you start in the back, which makes it harder because the seesaws aren't straight, and people don't understand what gravity and what weight means. And Door Dash, which is a luck-based game where you have to guess which door is the fake door and run through it. After one of these race minigames comes the next genre of minigame, survival. The way these work is that you have to, of course, survive. Instead of being first to a goal though, there are a certain number of people that have to be eliminated before the next minigame. This makes the minigame harder and harder to complete the longer the round lasts. There are 5 different minigames in this genre. Jump Club. This is a Wipeout style minigame where there are 2 spinning bars that you either have to jump over or duck under. These bars keep getting faster and faster until the elimination goal is reached. Rollout is a pretty easy one, you just have to avoid the obstacles while you're on a rotating ring. Block Party is like the game Hole in the Wall, where you've got to avoid the wall pushing you into the slime by jumping over or evading the wall. Perfect Match is a pretty simple memory game that gets harder as the round progresses. The trick to this game is to just go where the crowd is. As long as you aren't too far away from the block that everyone else is standing on, it really isn't too hard. Finally, the hardest minigame in this section, and I'll say arguably the most difficult minigame in the entire game, Tail Tag. The way this minigame works is that a different number of random people will start off with a tail. They have to run around the map trying to avoid the people that don't have tails, whereas the people who don't have tails have to gain a tail before the time runs out, or else they'll be eliminated. The strategy for this game is to get a tail near the end of the game, the last 30 seconds or so, because then you have to keep your tail for a short amount of time, whereas if you start off the game with a tail, you have to try and keep your tail for a longer period of time. Before we get to the next genre of minigames, I'm just gonna slot the rest of the race minigames here, because they usually come after the survival minigames. There is Hit Parade, which is a pretty easy one as long as you can avoid the obstacles well. Gate Crash, which is a more complex version of Door Dash, except the doors open and close by themselves, and you have to time your jumps with the doors and other obstacles. Tiptoe is the Pathfinder game mode where the best thing you can do is play off of everyone else's success, but it's very easy to get pushed off the blocks and lose because of it. Whirligig is one I haven't really seen too many people play, so I really don't have an opinion on it. Slime Climb is basically just Wipeout. There are obstacles that you have to pass as you slowly climb up the mountain to beat the rising slime. This is one that has an elimination cap, but since people can die to the slime, less people can qualify than expected, so it can kind of mess up the rest of the game. Finally, there's Fruit Shoot, another hard minigame. To play this minigame, you have to climb up a mountain, but there's fruit rolling down the mountain towards you. It's not that hard in concept, but if you're running straight up the middle of the mountain, then you're just making it harder on yourself. The real strat is to run up the sides of the mountain, but even then you could still get hit by a stray fruit. On to the most annoying genre of minigame, the team minigames. In most of the team minigames, there are 3 teams: red, yellow, and blue. The goal of each team is to have the most points, because if you have the least amount of points, then your entire team gets eliminated. The reason that this genre is so annoying, because you could be playing really well, the best you've ever played in this entire Fall Guys, but then you get a bad team. Playing a team minigame with a bad team just ruins your game, and for some reason the yellow team also gets so much hate. Yellow's my favorite color. The first minigame in this genre is Egg Scramble. This is a Hungry Hungry Hippo style of game where each team has to bring eggs from the center of the map to their colored basket. But once there's not enough eggs in the center, then you can go to the other team's baskets and steal eggs from them. The strategy in this game is to get all of the golden eggs, or as many as you can, in your basket, since they're worth 5 points. And then defend the golden eggs, and the rest of your eggs of course, until the time runs out. Rock and Roll is all about rolling your ball to the goal first. There are obstacles and such, but this is one of those team games that is easy as long as you have a competent team. Fall Ball is just soccer, again, another game that is easy with a competent team. Team Tail Tag is just tail tag, but instead of needing to have a tail to survive, the team with the least amount of tails gets eliminated. Jinx is like Infection Tag, but instead of keeping the jinx, you pass it on, and the first team to be entirely jinxed loses. Hoopsie Daisy is just whichever team jumps through the least amount of hoops gets eliminated. And finally, Hoarders is whichever team has the least amount of balls on their side of the court gets eliminated. Finally, onto the last genre of minigames, the finals. In these minigames, you have to be the last one standing, and if you manage to achieve that, then you win. There are 4 of these minigames, the first one being Fall Mountain. This one's the most popular of the 4, and it's basically just an amalgamation of all of the mountain climbing minigames. There's falling balls and swinging hammers and all sorts of obstacles, but the goal is to be the first one to touch the floating crown. Hexagon is just like Minecraft's TNT run, where if you step on a tile, then it will disappear. The strategy to this game is not to run on the tiles, but to jump on them. This allows you to have more time on the same number of tiles. You also have to get lucky with who you spawn with and how close they spawn to you. Royal Fumble is the exact same thing as Tail Grab, except only one person has a tail, and the last person to have a tail wins. Finally, there's the newest game, Jump Showdown. This is basically just Jump Club, but the platforms randomly fall until there are 2 left, and again, only one person can be left standing. So now that we know what the game entails, why did this game get so popular? I mean, this game has even Australian Fortnite YouTubers at its mercy. Well, one reason that it might have gotten so popular is because of its looks. People like floppy, cartoony characters with ragdoll physics. That's why games like Gang Beast and Human Fall Flat are so popular. Another reason might be how easy it is to win. People can sit down, play this game, and get a win in about 2 hours, compared to games like Fortnite where it would take the same person way longer. And when you win, you get a crown, which you can use to unlock different cosmetics, so there becomes an incentive to win. The final reason might just be because people like Mario Party style minigames, but not many people have friends to play with. This gives them about 59 other random people to play with. Not to say that you can't play with your friends though. That's another fun aspect about this game. You can queue with your friends but still be playing against each other. You'll be put together in team minigames and stuff, but you can still mess with them and prevent each other from winning. This game's just the perfect blend of cartoon, party games, and battle royale. Now, this game isn't without its flaws, and there are 2 major ones. The first being that the game got so popular so quick that the servers couldn't keep up. This game's like Valorant, where it would take forever to queue into a game, and then sometimes when you're in a game, the game would just crash in the middle of it. Because, again, the servers couldn't handle it. This is just really funny to me because the people working on the game were like, oh, this game won't get that popular, so we won't have that many servers. And then, bam! Server overload that is just breaking their game. The second problem is more recent, and maybe it's because, again, they didn't expect their game to be so popular, so their anti-cheat isn't as developed as other games. Hackers. There's been a recent surge in hackers recently, which really, people are so bored and so desperate for wins in this game that they have to hack to allow them to fly. It just ruins the game for everyone else, and I hope they patch this in the next update, because even though I don't play this game, I still don't like hackers in any game I want to play. In my opinion, this game looks like it would be fun for about a week, or maybe longer if I had friends I could play it with, but eventually I would get bored of it. I never really liked Mario Party centered games, but I think that the concept of winning actually gaining you something instead of just a stat on your leaderboard is something that gaming's really been lacking, especially in the Battle Royale genre. That's not to say that you guys might not enjoy the game. If you have the money, then definitely buy the game and check it out for yourself. And if you want to buy me a copy so I can try it out for myself, I wouldn't be opposed.